Do you know what time it is? I know what time it is. It's more... Wow, my voice is going already. That bodes well. For another Trench Crusade video. Hell yeah, let's go. We're going to do more Trench Crusade. I've been really enjoying going through it, and I want to do more. So, as is tradition for these now, glasses on. Oh yeah, I hate the glare. No one else cares. So, we finished last time at Trench Pilgrims. We didn't dive into Trench Pilgrims, so we're going to carry on from where we left off. Already at page 20 through the lore primer. Frankly, it feels like this is going by quite quick, but that's because I start recording these, and I think I've done about 5 minutes, and then I look at OBS and I'm like, oh, it's been nearly half an hour. I just enjoy it so much. So, let's get into this, right? Trench Pilgrims. As the war rages against the minions of hell, strange visions torment the faithful across the globe. Seems fair. Men and women touched by heaven are granted visions, and revelations are made by the messengers of God. Excellent. Sisters of the holy orders are marked by the stigmata and take up sword and cross as instructed by the angels. Those who have transgressed seek to atone for their sins by taking as many followers of the devil with them to the afterlife. Oh man. Okay, so my previous thought with this was like, it feels like the war is relatively far removed from a lot of the world. So it's like, it is like a global conflict, but you've got this kind of wall of faithful stopping all the awfulness of hell from reaching some of the more like peaceful areas of the world. It kind of now just sounds like no matter where you are, God or his angels might reach out and go, you're up. The time is now. It's time to move. You need to go, and you need to go and kill a bunch of heretics before you also die, probably in battle. That's actually, I like that. It does make the world a lot worse than I thought. And it already seemed pretty bad. Like, I'm not suggesting that, you know, the forces of the faithful versus hell is a light-hearted conflict. Of course not. But that kind of makes it feel like no matter where you are or who you are, there is a chance that you will just suddenly wake up in the morning having had a bunch of religious fervour and just go off to fight. That's really cool. I like that a lot. So they come, the mad and the maimed, the God-touched and the guilt-ridden, all gathering around prophets and prophetesses, forming trench pilgrim processions. I do like that initial sentence, by the way. So they come, the mad and the maimed, the God-touched and the guilt-ridden. That's excellently written. So, disorganised groups which arm themselves and follow the prophets of the Lord unto the front lines. They fight with unrivalled zeal, throwing themselves against the heretics and arming themselves with anything they can get their hands on, from the oldest muskets to scourges and Molotov cocktails. That's... okay. I'd kind of like not forgotten, but I think sometimes it's easy to forget that there's like a whole mix of like weapons and armor and almost eras in this setting. So you have got like powered armor. There's like powered armor. Antioch has got powered armor walking into battle, but you could also just have a guy with basically a sword and an old as hell, I don't know, like flintlock pistol or something. It's really fun. It's really cool. Pilgrims are not officially sanctioned by the Holy See, but the Church still blesses the Crusades of the faithful. I mean, they'd be stupid not to. It doesn't sound like it's going great. Thus, the pilgrim processions are a common sight on the battlefields, often charging across no man's land in suicidal assaults against the heretics, directed by the visions of the prophets and prophetesses, very difficult word to say, prophetesses, who lead them and urged on by the whips of castigators who are charged with instilling the fear of God in their troops. The context of that, hang on, instilling the fear of God in their troops, but earlier on, it is literally like men and women touched by heaven are granted visions and revelations. I feel like by that point you've already got the fear of God. I don't know that you need additional fear of God, but that's just, you know, I'm not like trying to lead a crusade into no man's land. So maybe once they get there, it becomes a bit less like, oh, I had a religious revelation, I've got the fervour, and it becomes more like, this looks awful, I want nothing to do with this. And that's when the castigators are like, no, you wanted this, you showed up here, you get on with it. Maybe that's what it is. The bulk of the pilgrims are men and women with little military training, but when they don the iron... oh no. Capirote? Sure. Of a Trench Pilgrim? What does that mean? What does that mean? Oh, it's the big, tall, pointy helmet. I see. Okay. Cool. Yeah. No, I see. Yeah, it's the big triangle helmet. I don't know. That's probably the worst way to describe that. Wikipedia is always a classic, always the way to go. There you go. There you go. That's what it is. It's one of those. If you didn't know, it's one of those. That, I think, is like the sort of main bit of Trench Pilgrim art that floats around most often. He's got the big iron punty helmet. I will try to remember to put that in during editing, and if I don't, it means I've done a bad job editing this video, but what else is new? Anyway, they don the iron capirote. I should have checked how to pronounce that too. Of a Trench Pilgrim, they can face even a demon from the deepest, bulgiest... Oh, I'm having a bad time with this already. We're like, what, 7 minutes in, if that, 6 minutes in, and I already can't pronounce half of it? That's not a good sign for this, is it? Unflinchingly, nor is death necessarily an end to their mission. Sometimes the 7th Meta-Christ will deem a fallen pilgrim worthy and bring them back as martyr penitents, warriors halfway between heaven and earth, able to fight once more and feel no pain from bullet or bayonet thrust. Ooh, okay, that's cool. So there is currently... So there is... Does that mean there's a Meta-Christ still alive? Or is it that a Meta-Christ, even though... See, we covered this last time, right? So we worked out that... We worked out as though it was something that was completely impenetrable before this point. So Meta-Christ, basically clones of Jesus. So does that mean that the 7th Meta-Christ is still alive? Or does each clone of Jesus, when it's dead or been fully consumed... I'm not really sure how they end up going, or even if they do. Maybe they're all still around? Maybe we'll find out more about that later. Also, we need to go through the unit blocks as well. Like, there's the actual, like, the game side of it. There is lore attached to each of the unit stat blocks from what I've been told. So we'll have to check that out too. But that's interesting because that implies that either they're still around in a physical way, or, which is perhaps just as interesting in a different way, they are still around in a, like, spiritual Holy Ghost sort of way. So even though they are clones of Jesus, they are in fact still... They have enough of that kind of the Son of God thing going on that they stick around in like a, I don't know, like a metaphysical sense, like a spiritual sense. Either way, that's kind of fun. I'd love to know which that is. Or if it's both. Who knows? Rarer and more dangerous are the stigmatic nuns, holy sisters who manifest wounds to match those of the 3rd Meta-Christ, whom the nuns venerate. That's interesting. So, does that mean that the 3rd Meta-Christ had different wounds than actual Christ, then? Maybe? I don't know. I want to know more about the Meta-Christ now. Can we have a full page on the Meta-Christ? Although maybe not. Maybe we don't want that. Maybe that would ruin the mystery. They excel in close quarters combat. For each bleeding wound that they suffer makes them stronger, not weaker. That's cool. As their devotion to suffering, as their Lord once did, gives them strength and endurance not found on mere common mortals. That's a fun little twist. I like that. Armed with swords and pistols, they cross no man's land, heedless of any danger, praying to sustain wounds for the Redeemer, which in turn will transform them into the very vengeance of the Lord. Oh, it's ridiculous. It's so good. In front of the Trench Pilgrims are driven the ecclesiastic prisoners, either captured enemies of the true faith forced to make a final act of contrition, or volunteer sinners seeking redemption. Right. Each is strapped with high explosives, which are detonated once they reach the enemy lines. I think we might have read something about this before. They dash across the killing grounds, hoping to either miraculously survive the blast and escape, or take as many followers of Lucifer with them as they can, depending on their convictions. Hilarious. Excellent. The most... What is that word? Puissant? Of pilgrim progressions? Puissant? That's definitely not. Will be accompanied by a shrine anchorite, a metal behemoth some 12 feet tall, a living altar of war almost completely immune to any damage. The interior of the anchorite is covered in spikes and barbed hooks, so that the monk who controls this colossus is in a constant state of torment. Oh, penitent engine then. Sisters of Battle style. rejoicing in the pain so they can suffer as their lord once did. There's a lot of, like, flagellation, like self-flagellation going on with this lot, isn't there? A lot of it. Like, they've really embraced the self-flagellation side of things. In combat, they wield adamantine Catherine wheels of massive proportions, which they use to crush the sinners and heretics into a pulp and then string them upon the wheel as a warning to others. That's kind of fun, actually. That's like a nice play on, like, the breaking wheel thing, which breaking wheels not like humanity's finest moment. You know, I mean, humanity's got a lot of moments that aren't that fine, but breaking wheels are pretty grim. They're pretty awful. Like, the name, it kind of speaks for itself, but it might be potentially more awful than you're thinking. You put a person on the wheel, and then you break parts of them, and there's a bit of, like, sort of twisting and, like, we're not going to get into it. It's not great. It's not great. There's some on my tank up there, by the way. Just throwing that out there. There is a bewildering number and variety of Trench Pilgrim processions. The penitents of pious revenge swear in the name of Saint Olga and use flamethrowers, burning grenades, and incendiary ammunition to assail the heretics, bringing the hellfire back to hell. I like that. The Pilgrims of the Iron Path follow Saint Rita of Cascia and go to battle with hammers, mauls, maces, and cudgels, and hammer nails into their heads in the memory of the saint they venerate. Sweet baby Jesus. Literally, I guess, in some cases. The Theban Legion of Rome carries the heads of the heretics upon their standards in the memory of their patron, Saint Maurice. They fight with swords and other blades, competing with each other for the number of heretic heads they amass. Oh, a bit of friendly competition there. Bit of friendly competition amongst the lads and lasses, like that. Also, that is excellent artwork, once again. Ridiculous. Trench Pilgrims of the Procession of the Sacred Affliction are known for their zeal for close quarters. What, and the others aren't? We've had one lot who do mauls, like cudgels and koshes and whatever, and then we've got the ones who fight with swords and other blades collecting heads, and the Trench Pilgrims of the Procession of the Sacred Affliction are the ones known for their zeal for close quarters combat. Jesus. I mean, come on. What about the other two? I would have thought the other two are pretty well known for it. They use melee weapons primarily, but this lot are the ones who really like close quarters combat. Wow, their armour decorated with icons and shields adorned with the depictions of the saints, which despite appearances can withstand machine gun bullets, and the millstones they carry in order to tie them around the necks of sinners before they suffocate them in the mud and blood of no man's land. So, bunch of wrong-uns then, basically. The skies shall darken, the ground shall open up, and the screams of the damned shall echo through the ages. Novi Revelations. Nice. Okay, so the Shrine Anchorite. Shrine Anchorites are metal behemoths some 12 to 15 feet tall, a living altar of war, almost completely immune to any damage, with a diesel engine, belching smoke, and trumpets echoing with prayers. Yeah, I mean, again, got a solid mix of orc and Sisters of Battle there. The interior of the Anchorite is covered in spikes and barbed hooks. Yeah, so that the monk inside is in a constant state of torment. They love it. They're having an absolute whale of a time being tormented like the Lord once was. The exterior is festooned with icons, holy relics and devotional prayer scrolls, each according to the traditions of the pilgrim sect that the Anchorite serves. The first Anchorites were built a long time ago in the fortress monastery of Velerad in Greater Moravia. Several hundred of these battle machines were built under the guidance of Saint Methodius, though now the craft is lost, as is tradition. That's how it works. When you've got a proper grimdark setting, you need to have something that is immensely powerful, that you had a few built of, but now you can't make them anymore. It's one of the rules, one of the cornerstones of doing a proper grimdark setting. I'm not mad at it. Though now the craft was lost, as the monastery was destroyed by a Death Commando infiltration force of the demon Marcosius. I mean, in that particular situation, I can see why they went for it. I can see why they decided the forces of hell. I don't know that we want too many of these wandering around, since they are apparently completely immune to any... almost completely immune to any damage. I can see why they'd want to get rid of that, you know? Later innovations of the engineering foundry of New Antioch created machine armour, a far smaller but more manoeuvrable personal protective suit based upon the Anchorite design, but the Pilgrim processions have neither access to these marvels of modern engineering, nor do they have any desire to give up their Anchorites, which act both as a fearsome engine of war as well as mobile shrines that form the focal point to the prayers and devotions of the Pilgrims. Yeah, that sounds about right. That sounds quite cool. The pilot monk or nun, once installed, never leaves the Shrine Anchorite until the day they die, which, I mean, it feels like it can't be that far off because they keep getting spiked and hooked. Blood loss has got to be a real issue once you're in one of those. Once they fall in battle, or rarely of old age, yeah, their remains are reverently removed and body parts are preserved in reliquaries mounted upon the Anchorite. Nice. Thus, each of these war machines is a testament to its long history of war against the forces of hell. So it could be that when you come across one of these and you see a bunch of stuff hanging off it, that's just all the previous pilots. Quality. In battle, each Anchorite carries a great adamantine Catherine wheel, as well as an immense bone-breaker mace to bring the wrath of God upon the sinners, heretics, and apostates. I do like that it's called a bone-breaker mace, because the implication here, with it being 12 to 15 feet tall, is that otherwise you could have a mace that didn't break bones. Which, I don't know that that's necessarily true. I feel like something that big wielding a mace, I think it could wield, like, a particularly hardy 2x4, and you could still call that a bone-breaker 2x4, you know, just by virtue of it being carried by a 15-foot-tall machine of war. Just saying. In a show of piety and atonement, it is common practice for trench pilgrims or stigmatic nuns as volunteers to be broken upon the wheel and serve in their final battle, mounted upon this device of execute. Why, though? Why? That's just... Even by the standards of, you know, going full religious fervour, that's mental. As a sign of both their willingness to suffer for their sins, you can do that without being taken out of action, and for the spiritual protection their sacrifice is said to grant the Anchorite. Okay, alright, okay. If we're talking it helps, fine. If it's just, I want to go into battle with all my limbs broken and twisted round a wheel, and then my agonised body used to bludgeon people to death whilst I am also still alive, that is a level of mad that I just can't support. The church frowns upon this custom, but pilgrims flock to their anchorites on the eve of any battle, hoping to be granted the honour of perishing upon the wheel. I like that. The church frowns upon this custom. Just one poor cardinal standing on the sidelines like, no, guys, no. Please stop it. Please stop. You're going to die in battle. Trust me. It's not great out there, alright? You're going to fall in service to God. You don't need to worry about that. You do not need to take yourself out of it by, you know, being mangled early. You can... I mean, at least form an orderly queue. Oh, that's all I'm saying. At least form an orderly queue, because this is just getting ridiculous. Ridiculous? Oh my god. The pictured shrine anchorite is a member of the cavalcade of the 10th Plague, a trench pilgrim procession who traditionally sacrifices lambs before battle. Ooh, very, very nice. Anointing themselves in its blood to ward the wrath of God. Nice little bit of be a bit of Old Testament, that, won't it? The smearing of blood on the door. Good grief. Yep, that's about right. Look at it. Oh, big diesel-powered dreadnought. Again, can't help but be in favour. Oh, the wheel is such a daft weapon. It's such a silly weapon. It's really cool, okay? I'm not saying it's not cool. I'm not, like, besmirching. But in the grand scheme of things, you know, a second mace would probably have been better. But you know what? That wouldn't have the same visual impact as one of your own side being broken across it to then be used to bludgeon people to death. So I can see why they went that way. I can see why they went for it. Also, I love all the chains. All the chains, fantastic. I don't know why, I just like that detail. What the hell is that? What? There is not a hint of explanatory script or text on this picture, and of all the pictures so far, I feel like this one desperately needs that. What the hell is that? What is it? It's massive. Has it got, like... Is it floating around with the Ten Commandments or something? What the hell? I mean, it can't... Well, I mean, how big were the stones that the Ten Commandments were written on? That's a lot of text for the Ten Commandments, isn't it? I mean, I know there were more than just the 10, but still... God, the absolute size of the lad. Look at it. What an absolute unit. What is it? Is it going to tell us? Oh, wow. I mean, that's got to be hell. Okay, fair enough. That's got to be hell. It wasn't 100% clear. Like, this could be a whole Metachrist situation. I don't know. I don't know what the Metachrist look like. Apparently, they're all mangled and, like, covered in stuff. And they can't talk properly because they've got ruined faces. This could have been something, like, angelic. It's all weird and creepy. Come on. Cut me some slack. That guy, though, big burning head, like skull instead of a head. An odd beast, shackled, covered in spikes. It's got to be hell, surely. I still want to know what it is. I want to know what both of them are. But answers do not seem to be forthcoming, which is a real shame. The Heretic Legion. A shroud of darkness blankets the world. Smoke and brimstone spews forth from yawning gates of inferno, enveloping the lands where people have abandoned God and openly wage war against his creation. It is a grim reality that a full third of humanity has bent its knee before the idols of hell. The main satanic military force on earth are the Heretic Legions, raised from amongst these citizens of the damned. Solid intro. Solid intro there for the Heretic Legions. Spies are sent into Hell's domains under special absolution by the Cardinal Protector. Most are caught, never to be seen again. Shocking. Who'd have seen that coming? You would have thought sending spies into Hell would have a high failure rate. Most are caught, never to be seen again, save for some whose eternally screaming heads are returned to New Antioch, branded with bleeding runes that mock the Holy Trinity. Oh. Okay. Alright, so, wait. Let me just make sure I'm understanding this right. Most are caught, never to be seen... Oh, okay. For a minute, I thought it was implying that most are caught and are never seen again, but the rest of them are caught and their heads are sent back to New Antioch permanently screaming. I misread. It's not as bad as that. So, most are caught, never to be seen again, save for some whose eternally screaming heads are returned. So some of them do get in and out and are able to get some information to New Antioch. It's just the rest of them go missing, and of those few who go missing, like some of them, you might even get their head back permanently screaming. That's not great either, but hey. Yet some do make it back to the light, whispering of the horrors they have witnessed, a firstborn cast into the mouths of the burning statues of Baal, and human flesh sold by the pound in dreadful markets. I mean, it doesn't sound great. They speak of the great idols of the golden calf and rapturous men and women who prostrate themselves before them, carving layers of their own flesh in ecstatic offering. Now, I will say, on first read, it's like, oh man, they've really fallen, they've really lost it. You know, they're carving their own flesh, they're worshipping before the golden calf. Excellent sort of biblical... I mean, the whole thing is a biblical reference, but that's, you know, related to a specific story from the Bible. But I don't know that there's that much room to criticise for the whole, like, oh, we went, and they are, like, carving their own flesh with stuff. Have you seen the state of your own troops? I'm just throwing it out there. Have you seen the state of your own troops? You have people queuing up to... like, be borderline sacrificed on the giant wheel of a big war machine before battle. I wouldn't suggest that that is particularly healthy behaviour either. I think there's a few problems at home that are not that dissimilar to what's going on in Hell. Just some similarities there, you know? Just some similarities. Inverted pyramids and towers plunge into the depths of these cities, built of iron and black stone. That sounds solid. Within these pits stand sacrificial altars where weeping captives are slowly sliced to death over agonizing days and weeks with wicked knives made of infernal basalt. Very specific stone there. Cathedrals to the princes of hell hang from great arches of volcanic stone, while condemned are crucified on hundreds of upside down crosses. It sounds really cool. Not to be there, like, maybe to visit, not to, you know, not to live. I can't speak of sprawling factories made of mutilated flesh and metal. Alright, maybe it doesn't sound that great. Their forges yielding endless munitions for the ongoing war, guided by the teachings of Tartarus smiths, alchemists toil over colossal weapons, and armoured behemoths wielding the forbidden secrets of their patrons' metallurgy to forge instruments of death and suffering, beyond the grasp of any human engineer. Again, I feel like the human engineers are probably catching up. Once proud cities of Earth, where churches have been toppled and entire populations are now dedicated towards bringing down the very throne of heaven. I mean, lofty goals, lofty aims, but I think they've got the go-getting attitude to potentially make it happen. Amongst the forsaken citizens that endure within the earthly domains of hell, the greatest status is afforded to the soldiers fighting in the Great War, but joining the army of damnation is no easy task. Surely not. Those who wish to win a place amongst the heretic legions must make an unholy pilgrimage to the burning bronze gates of hell, where, even from leagues away, the infernal heat sears both flesh and spirit until the pain becomes unbearable. Wow, so you really do have to have commitment. You can't just be like, I want to fight on the side of hell. You've got to really prove it. In the Valley of Tears, the great road that leads to the gate, paved as it was with wailing souls and lamentations, is littered with endless mounds of charred bodies. Ugh, many are still half alive, writhing in agony, trapped in a grotesque twilight between life and death, their wickedness deemed insufficient. Yes, we've reviewed your CV and we find you to be not enough of a wrong-un to properly serve the forces of hell, so you'll be condemned to be kind of melted into the floor for pretty much ever, just pretty much forever. It's a high-risk job. You knew that when you applied. You're just going to have to deal with it. These discarded souls are doomed to writhe in agony until the day of judgment, which seems like it's probably quite a long way off. Those who make it within sight of Hell's Maw are considered worthy and are initiated into the legions, taking unbreakable vows that chain them into darkness for all eternity, their bodies branded with the mark of the Devil Lord that has claimed them. Armories of hell then equip them for battle, and heretic priests beckon forth new supplicants as dictated by the whispers of their patron archdevils. Thus a new Heretic Legionnaire is born. They hail archdevils as their masters, and are thus damned for all eternity. I hate to say it, I feel like the Heretic Legionnaires have got more commitment. I feel like they might have more commitment. I feel like you shouldn't say that out loud. That sounds like it's a supportive thing, but I feel like they've just, they've properly proved themselves. It's not an easy task to get in. You can't just show up on day one and then get, inducted into the Heretic Legion. You got to really want it. You're actively wanting something like literally and figuratively and physically evil, I guess, which is problematic, but you got to have the drive. They've got the drive. Yet there are some who push further on to the very gate itself and beyond. Their very flesh ignites, never to recover, but those with the blackest souls can enter Inferno itself. Amongst those, the Anointed are especially revered amongst the legions. They are the paragons of unhinged brutality. What an incredible combination of two words. Unhinged brutality. Men and women of colossal vigour and unyielding devotion. Real, proper wrong-uns. Having tread the accursed path to the shores of the lake of eternal flame, where the damned wither and contort in ceaseless torment, the Anointed emerge forever scarred by the embrace of abyssal fires. That is such good artwork. Oh, yeah. The blackened and burnt flesh of the Anointed will never heal. Surely not. But in exchange they are granted the right to wear heavy Gehenna armoured suits, and they gain strength to wield weapons that a normal man could barely lift. It is said that glancing into their eyes, one can see the reflection of the very flames of hell forever etched in their vision. This is hardcore. Absolutely hardcore. Yet some who witness go even further in their depraved devotion. Wow. How do you go further than that? Suicide is a mortal sin, and one eagerly embraced by many. Okay. Most cry out for devils to notice their final sacrifice in vain. Oh, I see. As the infernal nobles are capricious and delight in betraying their own as much as their enemies. Well, I mean, it's literally hell. But those with truly wicked and depraved souls are resurrected in contempt of the Redeemer, coming back as choristers, horrific mockeries of creation, whose severed heads sing unholy hymns praising the devil, their voices causing the ears of their enemies to bleed. Right. Wow. Though the vast bulk of the heretic legions are made of mortal humans, hell often sends their own abhorrent progeny to reinforce their mortal foot soldiers, nightmarish war beasts made of captured and possessed creatures, and dreaded artillery witches. I think I've seen artwork of these artillery witches. So good. Who act as a mobile artillery supporting lightning assaults. Thus, in this accursed theatre of war, mortals and abominations march hand in withering hand, bound by the suffering ties of damnation. The wails of tortured beasts meld with the shrieks of damned souls, while the skies rain down fiery retribution upon all who dare oppose the heretics' ceaseless crusade for a demented parity with their creator. So good. So good. Wow, we're still... Okay. Where are we? 30 again. It's happened again. 31 minutes. 31 minutes. It's just... It goes so quick. It goes so quick, like, going through this stuff. It's so much fun. I'm really enjoying this. Okay. We're going to call it there. We're half an hour. That's a solid half an hour chunk. We're going to carry on, obviously. There's going to be more of these. I'm going to keep doing this because I really enjoy this. This is really good fun. And once we've finished the lore primer, we've got a bunch of unit profiles and stuff to go through with more stuff. So, oh, it's so much fun. I'm loving it. Highlights so far. We've got, like, overall, the fact that they've cloned Jesus is still hilarious to me. Love that. But specifically this, I really thought that for the forces of hell, like the Heretic Legion, it will be a case of, I've been corrupted by Satan, woo, and then that'll be it. And it would just be a case of, well, here you go, here's a gun, and here's a weird gas mask, off you go. Time to die in no man's land because you are a pathetic, awful mortal. We don't care about you, we're just here to get rid of heaven. But it requiring so much commitment, like the same amount of commitment, more maybe, than becoming like a Trench Pilgrim. I didn't see that coming. That's really cool. I like that a lot. Also, the various tiers of how committed are you. I mean, that makes the Heretic Legion way scarier. Way, way scarier. Because you have to really commit to your ideal of being awful to even get a foot in the door. The proverbial door. So that's really cool. The Shrine Anchorites, I really like those. That's really fun. The fact that the fact that Trench Pilgrims actively, like, want to be, like, brutalized on that wheel before it goes into battle is a horrible detail in the best way. Yeah, love it. Absolutely loving this so far. Thank you very much for watching yet another Trench Crusade video. There will be more. Quite a few more. Also, there was an update today. I got an update. I think my my anti-tank commando guy is going to be shipped soon. So I'm really looking forward to that. We'll have to do a video painting that. Also, at some point, we should check out the models. They've been having loads of models sculpted. They got a load of, like, stuff ready for, I think, maybe STLs or a Kickstarter or something. We should go through those as well, which we will. Not right now, but we will. Thank you very much for watching. Come back next time when we will cover Heretic Death Commandos and whatever else is after that, because I'm not reading ahead. I'm waiting to do this because it's more fun that way. I'm going to stop rambling. I'll see you for the next one.